Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a quick heads up. This conversation includes an honest discussion of suicidal thoughts following an injury. If you or someone you know is struggling, help is available. In the US, call or text 988. And in the UK, call the Samaritans at 116 123. Both are free and available 24 hours a day. Welcome back to the Adaptive Athlete Podcast, the place for conversations with adaptive athletes in the CrossFit space and beyond. I'm your host, Matt Hotho. On today's episode, I'm talking with Nigel Barber. Nigel is a UK-based adaptive athlete who's been training for over 26 years after a spinal cord injury at the age of 16. He trains at CrossFit Pi, yes, like the Greek alphabet, not the food, and over the last 6 years, he's built Wodaptive, an adaptive pairs competition in the UK that has become one of the most in-demand events in the British adaptive functional fitness scene. The last event in February sold out in 3 hours, with athletes flying in from the US and Australia. Beyond competing and event organizing, Nigel is deep in the infrastructure side of adaptive sport, helping to grow adaptive weightlifting in the UK. In this conversation, we get into the dark years after his injury, the Royal Marine PT who wouldn't take his excuses, how fitness literally lifted a dark cloud, and what it means to build something specifically for the athletes who aren't ready for the spotlight yet. So here's my conversation with Nigel Barber. Welcome back to another episode of the Adaptive Athlete Podcast. I'm here today with Nigel Barber. Nige, how's it going?
It's going very well, thank you.
Nigel, I am excited to have you on the podcast because we tried to connect last season and kind of missed the opportunity to connect. But then we saw each other actually 2 days ago on a call for IF3, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the podcast. But tell me a little bit about what makes you an adaptive athlete.
So I was spinally injured at the age of 16 in 1998. From that, I progressed into just going to the gym, purely to get my strength back up, to try and be able to move and just do everyday things. As my training got more and more, I wanted a different challenge. So my PT at the time, James Doolan, who's still my PT now, he did CrossFit, and we started introducing CrossFit movements into my workouts and things like that. I then went from training with him still to going to CrossFit Pi and with Martin at CrossFit Pi to refine my movements and try different movements and how things work. Just having a different set of eyes on me of how things progress with my body and how I can move stuff. From that, I've kind of stuck with doing the CrossFit-y style stuff. And it's been a nice, interesting journey, and I've gotten stronger from it.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
It's one of those of fitness is good for you, and as is CrossFit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It does help.
It's
one of those. I've seen the benefits of it, and I continue to see the benefits of it. So, and if anybody says CrossFit's not for me because of my disability or anything like that, it is. There's nothing to stop you because all movements are adaptable, which I found at the beginning. Yeah, and have progressed to do now, and it's all helping me towards my future of just everyday living.
Yeah. So let's talk about 28 years ago when you started working with, you said James was his name? The PT?
So 28 years ago was my accident. So it'd be 26 years ago, I started working roughly with James.
Okay. So 26 years ago, you're working with James, and you're just discovering what movements look like to kind of wake your body back up in some ways?
My first workouts consist of any gym work, literally consisted of a 1 kilo dumbbell and bands and stuff, purely because the level of my injury had taken any strength, any muscle from me.
Yeah.
And it was just gradually building it up. My actual first ever PT was an ex-Marine, Royal Marine. And then James came in a couple of years later. But the ex-Marine, Colin, he absolutely destroyed me.
Oh, no. He just over...
No.
Okay.
He destroyed me in the sense of it got me to where I am now, 3 years, but it was that strict push that I needed.
Okay.
Rather than someone just going, oh, there. Yeah. Okay. Well, we can try. He used his Marine mentality to go, of course you can do it.
Oh,
And just
okay.
kept pushing. And it was that I kind of needed to move me forward in to where I've gone to now.
So you would say it's like his attitude was more of a, he wouldn't take your excuses. He was like,
not at all.
You can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He in want of a better words, he didn't take any shit.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
And his words were, of course you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do it, we'll find a different way.
Yeah. So it kind of it kept you from feeling like you had limitations per se.
Yeah.
It was more of like you can keep pushing and finding new ways to move your body.
So, I mean, for the first 2 years of my accident, it was a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
I was 16, trying to get used to what's changed with my life. Living in an area where you didn't have the internet because it wasn't really around then.
It wasn't really a thing, yeah.
You didn't have Instagram, you didn't have Facebook, you didn't have any of that social connection with other people in the same situation. Living in an area that is very hilly doesn't help when you're in a wheelchair as well. And public transport and stuff wasn't geared up for just being able to hop on a bus and go to the local town. But I then eventually managed to get a car so I could go out more and do stuff, join the gym to get me out of my dark side. And that has helped. That helped a lot at the time.
Yeah.
I did have suicidal thoughts. I tried once. It didn't happen.
This is all like early 2000s. Like
this
you're still
is all
like,
early yeah. This
18,
just coming
19,
to terms
20.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it then eventually, obviously joined the gym, started training. Dark cloud started lifting.
Mm-hmm.
I had a gym community that I could go to. People just didn't. They didn't question you. They just saw you in there doing stuff and getting on with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of carried on now.
Yeah. So there were a couple of things you said there that I kind of want to circle back on, if you don't mind. Going through an injury like that, I would imagine 98, 99, 2000, 2001, before the advent of social media, on one hand, my first reaction when you said that was going to be like, oh, well, maybe that was nicer. You didn't have to deal with, the shit from people. But then it's like, no, actually, I think about the kids nowadays who went through injuries 10 years ago and they found a community through Instagram, through Facebook, and how lonely it must have felt in 99, 2000, 2001 to not have the hyper-connected world that we have today. Yeah.
It's been an interest. Yeah. I mean, there was the only people that you had was the people that I was in hospital with that were in the same boat. There wasn't really any near me.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to speak to them, you used your dial phone.
Right.
None of this texting or anything like that straight away. But yeah, it was a struggle. But when social media came around, it was like, okay, this is helping me connect more with people within the same situation. So you've got issues that you're going through, but you don't know where to turn. You can speak to someone in the same situation as you, and you kind of do get an answer on stuff. It's just obviously dependent on what you're trying to look for.
And then when it comes to, sorry, go ahead.
But it social media now, maybe not as the community sort of thing you kind of expect with everybody that's out there and what gets seen. Back then it was. But it's progressed into what it is now.
Yeah.
So
when it comes to communicating, especially again, I'm just kind of putting myself back in that, that early 2000s kind of time. Could you use your hands enough to do things like type or to write a letter, or were you pretty much limited to, I've got to talk to you on the phone or talk to you face to face?
I've got the dexterity in my hands. My fingers don't work from my injury, but I've got enough dexterity that I can type.
Okay.
So I'm not completely shut off in that extent.
Okay.
But it's, I mean, face to face is always better.
Well, right. And I could think about, so something I've been thinking about lately is my right hand has just been getting a little bit worse. Just CP when you age, it just kind of, you slow down a little bit quicker, premature aging. And I'm so thankful for the improvements in dictation on my Mac, where I can just tap a button twice and start talking. And I now can talk faster than I type. And that's just opened up some opportunities for me. And I wonder if you've had similar experiences like that with technology.
The dictation stuff does help. Me typing, I can type normally in a conversation and can have a full-on conversation typing. I've learned how to type quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a skill you learn as you go on. Obviously, the more that I do CrossFit-y stuff and movement-wise, it helps my hands to do more in my everyday. So me typing, it's just a normal routine for me now.
Okay.
But
cool.
Back then it wasn't. It was just very plod, 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 plod.
Yeah.
Now it's full on typing messages in seconds. So
cool. Well, let's talk about Wodaptive.
Yep.
So you were just telling me a moment ago, after your injury, you start doing PT, you find a CrossFit gym, CrossFit Pi. Clearly that changed your life. I'll link in the show notes to the video that CrossFit did about your story in 2020 at CrossFit Pi. For all the nerds listening to this, apparently CrossFit Pi has nothing to do with 3.14.
No, it does.
It does.
It's got the symbol.
It's got pi, right?
The pi symbol is there on the logo.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mean like the food, like it's like CrossFit Pi.
No,
yeah, that'd be funny though.
Yeah. If it was a pie, it'd be lemon meringue because that's Martin's favorite. But no,
fitness in 100 words. Eat meat,
there
vegetables, and pie.
Yeah, it's there. It is there for the mathematical term of 3.14.
Okay,
yada yada,
fair.
Whatever.
But then you were saying he also has, or someone else also had CrossFit Theta. Which
they had another box called CrossFit Theta.
Okay.
So Martin, I think, likes his mythological, freaky bits.
Or they've got geometry covered and trigonometry. Yeah. So they're covering both math disciplines.
Just covering everything.
Love it. So you started CrossFit Pi in in somewhere around 2018, I think you said, or 2017. And and that starts changing your life. You start, finding movement patterns in CrossFit, ways that you adapt things in CrossFit. And then at some point that leads you to saying, I want other people to be able to be a part of this.
So the Open had been around possibly for a couple of years now. And I was seeing it as it's great that you're finding the fittest on the earth for these disabilities. But what about the ones that don't kind of fit for that, but they're still going to the gym every day and doing stuff?
Right.
And they're not quite ready to do the individual sort of competitions. They're not at that level where they feel what's the word, out there enough to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So between myself, Ben Wadham, and Craig Graham at Alt Movement, and Ben being down in Plymouth, I approached them with this idea of an adaptive pairs comp. So the people that go to the gym, they're not quite ready to go and compete on their own, can come and compete with a friend of theirs. So there's shared suffering.
Yeah.
The spotlight's not just on you, but it's on your team. You're meeting others in the same situation, others in the community. And between the three of us, it's coming up to our 6th competition now. And we seem to be selling them out quicker than we can create them.
That's amazing.
I mean, the February comp that we've got in 2 weeks' time, when that went for sale in September, it sold out in 3 hours.
And how many spots are open for
That's
these comps?
40 teams.
40 teams. So 40 adaptives and 40 able-bodied.
Yep. So 80 people competing.
Come on. That's amazing.
So it's sold out in 3 hours. And I had people going, "Oh, I missed a ticket. It's like, well, people will drop out nearer the time because of injuries and stuff like that. I said, just have to go on the waiting list. I physically cannot add more teams.
Wow.
I mean, at this stage, we're going to end up needing a massive arena just to get everybody in.
Mm-hmm.
But the Wodaptive this year has expanded significantly from the last 2 years, to the extent that I have invested heavily into the business now.
Okay.
And have purchased a competition rig that's 28 meters long.
Nice.
Barbells, plates, echo bikes, ski ergs, rowers, sandbags, wall balls, boxes, all under the Wodaptive brand and other fitness institutes have all come together. And this one in February will be our first use of it all.
Okay.
At our own sort of venue. So I had it on my 5-year plan of this is where I want to be in 5 years. 2 years later, that plan's gone out the window because the demand's there for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you were telling me that you're expanding, so when you started, was it mostly like British athletes and like European athletes who were coming to this?
It was mostly just the Brits.
Okay.
But it's the Brits that were the everyday Brits that maybe did the Open but didn't get as far, or they were just newly injured coming into fitness.
So when I think of like the British adaptive athletes, right? I think Abby Wynne-Jones, I think Debbie O'Connell, I think Luke Reeson, I think, those are the three that just popped into my head. Faith Fordham, others as well. Are those some of the names that come around to Wodaptive? And then there's other athletes who don't even do the Open that I wouldn't even know about?
Abby's competed in every one apart from one. Faith has competed in all of them apart from one. Debbie's not done one yet, but we have crossed paths. There's some seated athletes that have done the Open but not gone to the games. And there's others as well that have started doing Wodaptive at the beginning and have now progressed that they're doing the individuals and doing the stuff at the games.
Okay.
So I can look through the photos of the very first competition to now, and you can see the difference in that person straight away.
Yeah.
I mean, James Sutcliffe for a start. I mean, the fact that he climbed a rope at the finals.
That was so cool.
Something he never thought that would ever happen.
3 times.
But yeah, when I look back to the way he was on our very first comp, you kind of think he's not ever going to sort of get to that progress, but he has.
Yeah.
And it's bits like that you look at and you think, okay, it's this kind of movement is working for people.
Yes.
So you're just going from that and then you just keep progressing. I mean, admittedly, our first comp was in CrossFit Veraleum, which is a greenhouse.
Okay.
It was on the hottest day of the year.
Oh, geez.
There was a lot of people with their tops off. And one of the things I do obviously we have the podiums and stuff, but one of the things that I do is every entrant gets a freebie from us. And my freebie that year was a woolly beanie. So they're being given a beanie on a day that's 30 degrees outside, and you're just like, yeah. And I still get ribbed for it now.
That's funny.
But people are still wearing them. So it's like, well, there you go. So, totally. But yeah, it was a hot one, but it was the start of what it is now.
Yeah. So So in February, in just 2 weeks, you've got another Wodaptive coming up. Now, by the time this episode airs, this will have been over. But when we're talking about it right now, January 31st, you're 2 weeks out from a Wodaptive competition. And you were telling me like you've got athletes coming from all over the world this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is our first one so our first competition, we had a lady called Cassidy who came over to be an able-bodied partner for someone.
Mm-hmm.
She saw it and she said, "Can I come and do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And she came over. She loved it. We're hoping that she can come back at some point soon. But for this one, we've got Jocelyn Lamont coming from Chicago.
Yeah,
I think they are. We've got Nina coming from Greece and Emily Cairns coming from Australia, as well as the Brits are arriving in force as well. So it's going to be a good, interesting competition.
Yeah. And you were telling me that like at these Wodaptive competitions, not only do you get the names of the athletes that we would think are kind of the bigger names in adaptive CrossFit, but you also have athletes that are just starting out with their injuries and just starting out with discovering what that looks like. So that first year, go ahead.
So you've got the everydays that go to the gym. They train all the time, just maybe need something to aim for to push their training, but then that leads to other things as well. So it's how fitness can help the mind as well as the body.
Yeah. Which I think goes back to what kind of brings us back to the start of the conversation when you were talking about, those early years when you said fitness lifted that dark cloud.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, everybody's got demons, whether they show it or not. And a lot of people do go towards fitness to help with the demons. Mm-hmm. If training helps you come to one of the comps and you come every time, but you do a little bit better every time, then it's obviously working for you. I mean, there's people that they came to the first one and struggled lifting sort of 7.5K barbells. You see them they still come now and they're lifting 15 kilos now.
Right.
And you've seen a progression in 3 years.
And they're probably more confident when they're getting into their car or when they're ambulating around their house or, whatever they have to do.
It's just everyday life. Mm-hmm. So it seems to be working well. So we just keep cracking on and doing what we can. Yeah.
Well, your influence continues kind of growing because I think, you've brought, you were telling me you brought the Matt Hampson Foundation in or kind of they're working with you on Wodaptive stuff as well. And then you're also working on British weightlifting, getting an adaptive division in there.
So myself and Abby, there's a weightlifting competition near me with Emily Musket, who was an ex-GB and Commonwealth weightlifter. Did a comp down here for MND. So motor neuron disease.
Okay.
And I messaged her because it was at the gym that's near me and said, "Can I do this?" And she was kind of like, "I don't see why not." But because it was part of British weightlifting, she had to find out from them. We had a couple of conversations with them, and Abby and myself went to the comp to just do the comp. Loved it. And then conversations were had about, well, why aren't you doing an adaptive version of a weightlifting event? And it then progressed to doing the first Adaptive Open last year, which we had 17 competing, I think, across various domains. Okay. Which obviously, if it's just the two movements, it's a less of a longer day. You're just doing the two movements.
Right. But they're able to do adaptive Olympic weightlifting versus like para powerlifting where it's just bench. Yeah. They're able to actually do the snatch and the clean and jerk.
Yeah, they are. And you see people there doing that and progressing. Mm-hmm. But it's a movement that I enjoy weightlifting. I'm sure others do. People turned up, they did the comp. We've got another one in June this year. And we're then going to be doing another one in October, the day before our competition at the same venue.
Okay.
There'll be one down in London as well, which people will be able to enter.
Yeah.
So, and it's open to people from outside of the UK as well.
All right. Very cool. Well, I hope people who are listening to this might consider doing Wodaptive in October and
there's nothing to stop you coming over.
Right. No. Other than
games is early this year, so
that's true. Hey, you make good points. This episode is brought to you by Equip Products. Whether you're a seated athlete, a single arm lifter, working through a neurological impairment, or coaching someone who is, Equip has the tools to make the gym actually work for you and for your adaptive athlete. They're partnered with WheelWod, trusted by PTs and coaches, and they're the go-to source for adaptive fitness gear. Go explore everything they carry at equipproducts.com. There's something there for almost every adaptive athlete. There's a conversation that I want to get into.
Yep.
And it's something that you and I were both on a call about 2 days ago. And it's the International Functional Fitness Federation. Yep. They are working to make functional fitness an Olympic sport, or trying to kind of set up the structure for it to do that. Can you, as best as you understand it, can you describe the IF3, the International Functional Fitness Federation, what they're doing that's distinct, and then we'll talk about the conversation we had.
So it's another route of fitness that's being noticed. The way that they do their workouts is everything's contained within a 90-minute window. So it's not you're doing a workout, then you're waiting for an hour, coming back and doing another workout. From what I've done in the UK with VF3, it is literally a 90-minute workout of 5 workouts in that 90 minutes, and then you're done. If that's the same case for the IF3, which I think it will be, then having the adaptive divisions there to help bolster the ranks and show that it's another avenue away from CrossFit that can be done. It's just a step in the right direction, really. I mean, between Abby, myself, and some others in the UK, we were part of a committee for helping BF3 to set up their adaptive divisions, which kind of got put on hold a bit before IF3 announced their bit. And it was, rather than us carrying on with what we're doing, it's using IF3 standards, so that then it's the same across the board for all the competitions. So that then there's no crossover of, well, I'm in this category for that, but I'm in this category for them, and yet you're part of them.
Right.
So you don't. It's less confusion under one banner, so to say.
Yeah, because if you have the International Federation, they're kind of setting the rules and the standards that then the national federations are following and working with.
Yeah.
So I would assume the BF3 is the British National Federation. Yeah. And then I know on the call there was someone from Luxembourg, which is crazy.
The Sybil who does Iron Showdown. They're part of, obviously, Luxembourg. Yeah. It's part of it. There's Dutch people. There's Australia. Yeah.
I know the US has one. I was looking at that website. It hasn't been updated in a while, but I know we have a presence.
I think there's one pretty much in all countries, as far as I'm aware, that want to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the finals, you've got people coming from all over the world to do it. So it's obviously something that's growing.
Yeah. And the goal seems to be to create a structure for the able-bodied so that this could be possibly presented as an Olympic level sport.
Yeah.
With working around the unknown and unknowable, which doesn't work for the Olympics, which needs to have a more set standard test of some kind. I know Gretchen Kittelberg and that team are trying to figure that out. But the call we were on Thursday was about what would it look like to create standards at that IF3 level, and what would an adaptive committee look like to create classification standards, workout standards, movement standards, floor layout standards, all that kind of stuff.
You're venturing into the unknown is the best way. Because one person with one injury that's the same as another person's isn't going to be the same. You're going to have different ranges of movement and different ways of moving yourself. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how they create divisions based on people's specific disabilities.
Yeah.
If they're classing it off of the IOPC classifications for our athletes, then it's going to be a case of, well, what do you take from that to bring across to the IF3?
Right.
To try and make it work. But at the moment, it's going to be a minefield, but that's what it is.
Well, you were saying about
somewhere with it.
Yeah, and you were saying about adaptive that like your goal is to be fair and inclusive.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you get into the IPC code, it definitely veers, if that's a spectrum, if that's a continuum of fair to inclusion, IPC code veers more towards fair, I would say.
Yeah.
Right? You've got 10 eligible impairments.
Yeah.
And then your international federation can decide which of those 10 eligible impairments they recognize, and then what the minimum impairment criteria are for those. And that's the work that we're going to maybe try and do in this adaptive committee and see if we can create some kind of a code that would work, that would
like to think so.
that would allow para athletes to do functional fitness.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, I don't see why it won't work. It's just making sure you get it right, but it's not rushed. Because you can quite easily put information out there and go, right, it's this, and this. And then it will change the following year, which, are you going to get that? Probably. Because you're not going to get it right 100% on the first go. It's the same with us for Wodaptive. Our first comp, we had one podium. So it's everybody, because it's our first one. We didn't know, we were in a fog bank of, right, we don't know who's going to compete, who's going to win, how it's going to look. So the first one was literally one podium, and it was an all male podium. So our next comp after that, we then did it as we had 3 podiums. So it was male, female, female podiums. And then we got a lot more seated athletes coming. So then we had to add another 3 podiums just to cover the seateds.
Yeah.
So to make it more fair across everybody that's competing. So, which 3 years in seems to be working. So we've got 6 divisions rather than it being a minefield of neurominor, neuromuscular, neuromajor, vision part 1 and 2, and it's literally based more on your team setup.
Okay.
And then your workout is then adapted to what your classification is, so to say. So yes, you're doing the same workout, but you're just doing it as a variation. Whether that comes across to IF3, I don't know. It's going to be an area that they're just going to have to look at and get advice from hopefully some people with a lot more knowledge of how to make it work.
Nigel, I've just got a couple of lightning round questions for you, if I can entertain you with those, and then we'll kind of wrap up with a few more questions.
Yeah.
So is there a goal that you're currently working towards outside of fitness?
I'm going to be starting my British weightlifting Olympic coaching. Okay. Just as something to give me a fallback to for programming ideas for Wodaptive. I've just finished the British weightlifting judges course. So in June, I can actually sit there and judge some adaptives at the competition, which they're going to hate. Nice. It's just to give me more power, because obviously I need more power to do these things. So there's studying on that. I also run a t-shirt printing business. So I'm doing bits and bobs of printing throughout the year for people, brands and what have you, CrossFit boxes. So there's that. Obviously there's the Wodaptive merch as well, which is there for people to get. There's bits of that, but during the sort of from February to October, which is our quieter period, we're helping Southwest Regionals with having adaptives at that one. We've got Rainhill Trials where there's people there as well. So we're branching out a little bit to help other comps to have individuals competing at their bigger comps. So then sort of means that there's more opportunities in the UK for people. Yeah. So that's the one thing. But mostly I'm just constantly learning.
Okay.
Learning about I learn about different conditions and stuff that come across for the Wodaptive comps and go, right, well, how does this affect you? And how does heat affect you? And how does cold affect you? Like with Abby, obviously if she gets too hot, she seizures. So it needs cooling down. But then you've got someone on the other side who, if they get too cold, they need warming up. So it's knowing the differences between, even though they could be in the same category, it's knowing the differences and seeing the differences. So I literally sit there and read little journals every now and then of bits and bobs on different conditions.
Okay. All right.
So
if there's one movement in CrossFit that you could get rid of forever, what movement would it be? Snatch. Gone. Bane
of my life, snatch.
All right. And then one last question.
It needs doing, but bane of my life.
Fill in the blank. Adaptation has taught me blank.
To not give up, because even adapting something for yourself that doesn't work for someone else means that can then be adapted.
So I've got one last question for you, Nigel, as we wrap up our conversation. And that's this. If you could go back and talk to a younger version of yourself, maybe that kid in 98, 99, what would you tell him to encourage him?
The first one would be life does get better. In 28 years, my life has gotten better from back then. And that's purely from, majority of that is fitness. That would be the main point of just stick at it and you will get through the dark time.
Yeah.
See the light and push out and give people the opportunities to get through their dark times. But you've just got to get there. It's probably the best one.
Cool. Well, Nigel, thanks so much for being on the podcast. If people want to follow Wodaptive, how can they do that?
The main place that we post is Instagram. So it's Wodaptive's Instagram page. I am on there with my personal one, which is Wheelie by Design. It doesn't get posted on as much as Wodaptive does because that's my main focus. But we're on there. If anybody wants to get in contact, it comes to me anyway. So yeah, come along, see what's going on.
All right.
If you want a trip to the UK, come on over.
Yeah. So that was going to be my next question. So obviously we've got the February event, which will be passed by the time this is, but what are the next two events, that British weightlifting event and the Wodaptive event?
We've got British weightlifting in Birmingham on the 7th of June. As far as I'm aware, it's open to anybody outside of the UK as well, purely because it's not fully there yet and set, that it's just for British weightlifting, because it wants to build. So there's that. There's Southwest Regionals in August in Bath, which is going to have adaptive categories. We've got our second comp in the 25th of October with a British weightlifting comp the day before. If people want to come to the Wodaptive comp, they get to do erg shoot as well.
Ooh, fun. How many days are your Wodaptive comps? 2 days?
It's literally 1 day.
Okay.
It's a 1 day comp, but come on over. Come and do some erg shoot. They came to us in September and everybody loved it.
Wow.
So we've got them coming back in October.
Well, thanks, Nigel. This was a lot of fun.
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Nigel Barber. To be 16 years old, a spinal cord injury, no social media, no community, no roadmap, and out of that, he built a training practice, a competition platform, and a community that's serving athletes who are at the very beginning of that same road. Here's what stuck with me the most. Wodaptive wasn't built for the podium chasers. It was built for the person who just needs something to aim for, a reason to train harder this week than last week. And we need that in our sport. We need something that is more than just trying to be the best in the world. We need people who are just doing fitness and competing just for the fun of doing it and for being better than they were yesterday. And when you create spaces like that, you get stories like James Sutliff, who we talked about in the show, who showed up at a Wodaptive competition a few years ago. And then just a few years later, he's at the CrossFit Games climbing a rope for the first time. I was there, I was on the floor, and it was amazing. And that's the kind of system that Nigel is working to build in his community, where adaptive athletes can just be on the floor, trying out competition next to able-bodied athletes. So if you're in the UK or willing to make the trip, Wodaptive and the British weightlifting adaptive events are worth your attention. The links are in the show notes. And if this episode meant something to you, share it with one person who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, hit follow, leave a review, and help us get these stories in front of more athletes who need to hear them. I'm Matt Hotho, and I'll see you next time.